I'm gonna give you guys a couple tips on how to style your food so that your photos are more dynamic and engaging for your audience. These are things that you're gonna refer back to every time you get ready to take a picture or a video of a plate of food to make sure that you're giving what you're supposed to be giving. Hi friends, welcome back to my 30-day series on how to become a food content creator in 2025. Today we're talking about how to style your food. When I first started styling food, it would kind of look like this. As you can see, this was like a little soup that I made with a breadcrumb topping and I just put it in some ramekins. It's very cute, but there's absolutely no dimension in this photo. It's literally just two bowls on a counter. I knew it looked bland, but I wasn't exactly sure how to fix it. And so one of the things that I did was just kind of Google pictures of soups to see what I could find. And what I noticed was they all had either a spoon in the photo or a dish towel, or they had some kind of like herbs or something green to add a little bit of color. And so the first thing that you're gonna ask yourself when you are plating your food and you're getting ready to take photos is there something green? Is there a fresh element? Is there an herb? That's the first, it's like a lot of questions, but it's all in the same wheelhouse. That's kind of what you want to ask yourself as you're plating. It doesn't necessarily have to be an herb. If it's green, it could be just like kale or spinach or something like that. But if those are not there, is there an herb that is kind of brightening the dish up and adding a fresh element? So that's the first thing you want to ask yourself. So to spruce it up, I literally just added some twigs of rosemary, and obviously like this is my very first time like even being aware of what food styling looked like. And so it's not going to be the best, but it's okay. Everybody starts somewhere, right? So I just added some rosemary. I took my picture and I posted it to the internet and I kept going. So the second thing you want to ask yourself is, are there enough colors on the plate? So if you're making a pasta with a bunch of cheese, or you're making like a deli sandwich and it's got like piles of meat on it, or you're making like a chili and it's brown, right? The last thing you want is a dish that is completely brown or completely one note. And so if there's nowhere for you to add green in the dish, right? And there's always room for an herb. There's an herb for every single dish. But the last thing you want to do is plate something and take a photo of it and there's only one color on the plate. So if there's not a fresh element and there's no herbs, there's no greens, is the plate completely brown or one note? Because if that's the case, then we want to add in something else. So if you're making a chili and it's just a completely like brown or red bean chili, kidney bean chili, and there's not really a lot of color in it because it's ground beef, what else could we add on top? Could we add a dollop of sour cream and some green onions? Because that's going to draw the eye of your audience because it looks appealing. It's something that they want to eat. And then another example I'm going to use, you guys have seen this creme brulee. It's pretty, but it's just very uninspired, I think, right? It's just a bowl with some yellow jelly in it. But we want to spruce that up a little bit. And so instead of just letting it be just the creme brulee with no other kind of color, I went ahead and added in some mint. With the dessert, mint is always a great option to add a little bit of color if you can't really figure out where to go, or tarragon or something like that to add a little bit of color. The next thing you want to ask is there dimension? So as you can see in this picture here, there's not a lot of dimension in this photo. There is a plate with a sandwich and a little bowl of soup on it, and there's really nothing else going on. I got these like very bland salt and pepper shakers behind it. It's not giving, okay? So I started to kind of play with it because I knew that it just looked a little bare and uninteresting, and I wanted to add a little bit more dimension to the photo. So I added in some fresh flowers. That is always a good option when you're trying to spruce up the background of your photo. So I added a couple fresh flowers, but I still wasn't happy with it. So I moved in my olive oil and balsamic vinegar and thought, okay, that looks nice. But then I also added in the wire grate because I just like that it added a little bit more height to the plate, but it also set the dish apart from the background so that the dish became the focal point. Anytime you can bring in some props and give your photo a little bit more dimension, that's always going to be a good thing. Is there a dish towel? Is there a wire rack that you can use? Is there a spoon and you can leave a little drip? These are all things that give your eye more places to go in a photo, and it keeps your audience engaged. Another thing to be conscious of when you're food styling is making sure you're getting a lot of natural light. And so one of the things that I've kind of adopted as I have grown in my food content creation is making sure that I cook during the day. Yes, you're gonna create food content at night. That's why we have ring lights. It's inevitable. But getting natural sunlight onto your dishes is always going to be the best option for photographing your food, because it just brings out a really beautiful color in the photo. So natural light is always going to be better in photographs than artificial light. And then the last thing I'm going to say is, if you're doing some kind of a soup or you're doing grits or something, you want to make sure that you're getting a good contrast of texture. So if you're doing something that's very creamy, make sure you add a crunchy element on top, but also make sure that you garnish it with some kind of an herb. It goes back to the beginning. Is there something green or is there something herby? Because herbs really do add depth to your photos. And just in general, you want to make sure that you're garnishing your dishes. So is there cracked pepper? Is there a sprinkle of salt at the end? Is there a drizzle of olive oil? Is there a drizzle of herbs? Those are all things that are going to draw the eye. And so a piece of steak looks great, but a piece of steak that you can see the herbs with little salt flakes sitting on the top looks even better. And so we just want to be mindful when we're food styling to make sure that there's something fresh, that the picture has dimension and depth, that there's a natural element, that you're getting good sunlight, and there's good color contrast. So I guess I'm giving you guys 5 tips. I hope this was helpful. Please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have not watched the rest of the videos in the series, please go back and watch those. And then come back here tomorrow. I'm going to tell you how to design a thumbnail for your food pictures. I will see you then. Thank you so much for watching.